The desert was endless, silent, and empty, just the way Ethan Cole liked it. No noise, no people, no past chasing him. But that night, the sky refused to stay quiet. A streak of blue fire ripped across the darkness, brighter than anything natural. It twisted midair, almost like it was trying to correct itself, before slamming into the dunes with a violent shockwave. The ground trembled beneath Ethan's boots. His first instinct was to leave. Whatever that was. It wasn't normal. But then he saw something else. Movement. Something inside the wreck was still alive. Ethan cursed under his breath and grabbed his flashlight, already moving before his mind could catch up. Years of rescue work had wired him this way. See danger, run toward it. The crash site felt wrong. The air hummed. Not heat. Not radiation, something else. The wreck itself pulsed like it had a heartbeat, shifting between silver and deep violet. Ethan climbed inside. The metal cut into his hands, but he ignored it. Then he saw her. She was trapped beneath a curved section of the hull, her body partially pinned. Her skin wasn't human. It shimmered faint blue, with thin glowing lines flowing across her arms like liquid light. Her chest rose slowly, barely. Then her eyes opened. Amber bright, afraid. Help me. That was it. No hesitation. Ethan braced himself and grabbed the metal. It didn't feel like metal. It resisted, almost like it was alive. His muscles strained, his teeth clenched, and pain shot through his arms. Come on, move. For a second nothing happened. Shift. Just enough. She pulled free. Ethan caught her before she hit the ground. Close, she felt light. Too light. Not fragile, just different. He carried her out into the open desert, laying her gently onto the sand. You're okay, he said, even though he wasn't sure that was true. Her fingers weakly wrapped around his wrist. You saved me. Her glowing patterns flickered. Then she went still. Ethan looked back at the wreck, then at her, and made the choice. No authorities, no questions. He took her home. 3 days passed before she woke. Ethan had barely slept. He didn't understand her biology, but he did what he could. Water, rest, keeping her warm. When her eyes finally opened again, they were clearer, focused. My name is Lyra, she said. Ethan leaned back slightly, exhaling. Ethan. She studied him in silence, as if trying to understand something deeper than just his face. You made a dangerous decision, she said quietly. He raised an eyebrow. Saving you. Yes. That's new. Her glowing markings brightened slowly. In my world, saving a life creates a bond. Ethan frowned. What kind of bond? She hesitated. One that others will come looking for. A cold feeling settled in his chest. Others? He asked. Lyra turned her gaze toward the window. Toward the sky. They are already searching. Morning never truly arrived. The sun rose, but its light was swallowed by shadows. Ethan stepped outside and froze. 6 enormous ships hovered above the desert, silent and unmoving. They weren't just machines. They looked alive, their surfaces flowing like liquid crystal. Lyra stepped beside him. They found me, she said softly. A smaller vessel broke away and descended, landing with impossible grace. A ramp extended. 6 figures walked down. All women. All like her, but stronger. Sharper. More dangerous. The one in front carried authority in every step. You are the human, she said, her voice calm but powerful. Ethan crossed his arms. Depends who's asking. I am Commander Vera, she replied. And you saved someone very important. Ethan glanced at Lyra. Yeah, I'm starting to get that. She is not just anyone, Vera continued. She is part of a royal bloodline. Ethan sighed. Of course she is. One of the others stepped forward, circling him slowly. Humans are described as violent, she said. Unstable. Ethan gave a small shrug. Sometimes. But you saved her without reason. Didn't need one. That answer lingered in the air. Then Vera's expression hardened. There is something you must understand, she said. Your action has consequences. Ethan's tone sharpened slightly. Then stop talking in riddles. Lyra stepped forward. When you saved me, a resonance formed. A connection between us. And that's bad. It is rare, Vera said. And valuable. Ethan's stomach tightened. Valuable to who? No one answered immediately. The horizon exploded with light. A second ship tore through the sky, dark and aggressive, its presence heavy and violent. The air itself seemed to react. The hunters, Lyra whispered. Ethan watched as the ship descended. So they're here for that connection thing? Yes. And me? Yes. Ethan let out a slow breath. All right, he said. What's the plan? You leave, Vera said instantly. We handle this. Ethan shook his head. No. Every eye turned to him. You don't understand the threat, Vera warned. I understand enough, he replied. I'm not running. Why? She demanded. Ethan looked at Lyra, then back at them. Because leaving someone behind isn't who we are. For the first time. They didn't argue. The hunters didn't wait. They crashed into the desert like a storm. Armored. Inhuman. Their movements were too precise. Too efficient. The alien warriors attacked first. Their coordination flawless. But the hunters adapted. Every move. Every pattern. Ethan saw it immediately. They're learning, he muttered. He grabbed a fallen weapon, fumbling with it before it activated in his hands. Good enough. One of the creatures charged him. Too fast. He barely dodged, firing instinctively. The blast hit, but the creature kept coming. Then it slowed. Just slightly. Confusion. Ethan's eyes narrowed. They don't understand us. Lyra looked at him. What? They expect structure. Training. Patterns. He took a step forward. So let's break all of it. Before anyone could stop him, he ran straight at them. Unplanned. Unpredictable. Human. The hunters hesitated. That was the opening. Change tactics. Ethan shouted. Don't fight like soldiers. Fight like humans. The warriors adapted instantly. Their perfect formations broke apart. Now it was chaos. Unpredictable movement. Improvised attacks. No rhythm to follow. The hunters faltered. Ethan rolled through the sand, throwing debris, striking when he could, never repeating the same move twice. Effective. One by one the hunters fell. The last one lunged at Lyra. Ethan moved without thinking. He slammed into it, knocking it off course. They hit the ground hard. The creature raised its weapon. Then stopped. Confused. Ethan didn't fit its logic. That hesitation cost it everything. A final blast from behind ended it. Silence returned. Ethan lay in the sand, chest rising and falling. Lyra knelt beside him. You should not have survived that, she whispered. He smiled weakly. Yeah, I hear that a lot. Vera approached slowly, her expression no longer cold. Humans, she said quietly, are not what we believed. Ethan sat up slightly. Good or bad? She looked at him carefully. Dangerous. Lyra squeezed his hand. Not dangerous, she said softly. Different. The ships above began to rise. The threat was gone. Now. Vera extended her hand. Come with us, she said. There is more waiting beyond your world. Ethan looked at the sky. At the endless stars. Then at Lyra. Then back again. He smiled. Yeah, he said. Let's see what happens next. The stars were not silent. They watched. They listened. And now they feared. Ethan had never imagined leaving Earth. Not like this. Not as a soldier, not as a hero. But as something far more complicated. Variable. A disruption. Human. The massive alien vessel drifted through deep space, its living walls pulsing softly with light. Outside, entire fleets moved in distant formations, Some cautious, some curious, and some already preparing for war. Because of him. Because of them. Ethan stood at the observation deck, arms resting against the transparent barrier as he stared into infinity. For the first time in his life, the desert felt small. You are thinking too loudly again. Lyra's voice came gently from behind. Ethan smirked slightly. Didn't know that was a human problem. She stepped beside him, her glowing markings calm now. Steady, almost peaceful. It is not, she said. It is you. He glanced at her. That bad? No, she replied softly. Just different. There was that word again. Different. Followed him across planets now. So what happens next? Ethan asked. Lyra hesitated. And that alone told him everything wasn't over. There are others, she said quietly. Stronger than the hunters. Smarter. Older. Ethan sighed. Of course there are. They will not attack blindly, she continued. They will study you. Humanity. Yeah, that sounds worse. Lyra turned to face him fully now. They are afraid. Ethan blinked. Of me. Of what you represent. Before he could respond, the ship trembled. Not violently, but enough. Enough to mean something was wrong. Lights dimmed. A deep, resonating sound echoed through the vessel, like a heartbeat skipping. Vera's voice cut through the air. Everyone to command. Now. The war room was already alive with motion. Holographic projections filled the space. Maps, signals, shifting data streams. Alien commanders stood in tense silence as a massive shape appeared in the center display. Ethan frowned. That doesn't look friendly. It wasn't a fleet. It was one ship. But it was enormous. Unlike anything he had seen before. Its structure was jagged, layered, almost organic, but twisted, like it had grown instead of being built. What is that? He asked. Vera didn't look away from the projection. That is a sovereign. The room went colder. They do not rule territory, she continued. They rule fear. Ethan crossed his arms. And it's here for us. For you. Silence. Course it was. A signal pulsed from the massive ship. Voice. Controlled. Ancient. Human. Ethan's jaw tightened slightly. That's new. You have altered the balance, the voice continued. Your species was not meant to matter. Ethan stepped forward. Yeah, we get that a lot. As if the being on the other side was analyzing him. You form irrational bonds. You act without logic. You disrupt systems that have existed for millennia. Ethan shrugged. Sounds like us. You are inefficient. Also true. Another pause. Longer this time. You are dangerous. Ethan smiled faintly. Now we're getting somewhere. The room remained completely still. No one interrupted. Because something strange was happening. The sovereign wasn't threatening. Was studying. You will come with us, the voice said finally. We will understand what makes your kind unstable. Ethan tilted his head. Or your species will be erased before it spreads beyond your world. There it was. Line. The moment everything changed. Ethan exhaled slowly, then looked around the room. Vera. At the warriors. Lyra. All of them watching him. Waiting. Not because he was the strongest, but because he was human. And humans never answered fear with obedience. He stepped forward. Closer to the projection. You don't get it, Ethan said calmly. No, the sovereign replied. That is why you will be studied. Ethan shook his head slightly. No, he said. You really don't get it. His voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. We don't fight because we're strong. Silence. We don't survive because we're smart. The room felt heavier with every word. We win because we refuse to quit on each other. Lyra's hand slowly found his. He didn't look at her, but he held it. You think I'm dangerous, Ethan continued. You haven't even met the rest of us. That was the moment. A shift. The realization. Not just one human. Not just one anomaly. Whole species. The sovereign said nothing. For the first time. Hesitated. Then the signal ended. The massive ship didn't attack. Didn't move. Simply turned. And left. The tension in the room didn't break immediately. No one spoke. Because they all understood what just happened. It wasn't a victory. It was a warning. Vera finally stepped forward. They will return, she said. Ethan nodded. Good. She studied him carefully. You are not afraid. He let out a small breath. Yeah, he said. I am. That surprised her. But we show up anyway. Lyra smiled softly. And this time, so did Vera. Later, as the ship drifted quietly through the stars once more, Ethan stood alone again at the observation deck. But not for long. Lyra joined him. You changed something today, she said. Ethan shook his head. Nah. He looked out at the endless galaxy. This was always coming. She tilted her head slightly. What will you do when they return? Ethan smiled. A real one this time. Call home. She blinked. Home. Yeah, he said. Because if they think I'm a problem. His eyes reflected the stars now. They're really not ready for Earth. Final HFY message. The galaxy feared power. It respected control. It worshipped order. But humanity brought something far more terrifying. Loyalty without limits. Courage without permission. And the unbreakable instinct to stand together. Space had a way of making everything feel small. But not today. Today, it felt like something was watching back. Ethan stood in the command chamber, arms folded, eyes locked on the star map hovering before him. Dozens of systems blinked in soft light, but one had just appeared. Highlighted. Mark. Earth. They traced you, Vera said quietly. Ethan didn't respond immediately. Yeah, he said finally. Figured they would. Lyra stepped closer, her expression tense. This is not like before, she warned. The sovereigns do not chase individuals. They eliminate variables. Ethan gave a small, humorless smile. Guess I'm a big variable. No, Lyra said. Your entire planet is. The room shifted as new data streamed in. Multiple signals. Multiple ships. Not one sovereign this time. 3. And behind them, something worse. Even Vera stiffened. That is not possible. Ethan looked at her. What? She hesitated, then answered. That is a Worldbreaker-class entity. Silence. Let me guess, Ethan muttered. Bad news. It does not conquer planets, Vera said. It erases them. For the first time since leaving Earth. Ethan felt it. Not fear for himself. Fear for home. Images flashed in his mind. Crowded streets, loud cities, ordinary people living ordinary lives. They had no idea. They're coming, he said quietly. Lyra nodded. Yes. Ethan turned. Decision already made. Then we go first. Vera frowned. Explain. We don't wait for them to reach Earth, Ethan said. We meet them before they get there. That is suicide, one of the commanders snapped. Ethan looked at her. No, he said. That's being human. Hours later the ship moved. Not away. Forward. Straight toward the incoming threat. Lyra stood beside Ethan as stars stretched into lines. You are choosing to fight something even we avoid, she said. Ethan exhaled slowly. Back on Earth, we've got a saying. She glanced at him. What is it? He smirked slightly. If something's coming for your home. His eyes hardened. You don't wait at the door. The battlefield formed in silence. Dark space. Distant stars. And then, they arrived. 3 massive sovereign ships. And behind them, the Worldbreaker. It didn't look like a ship. It looked like a wound in space. Reality itself bent around it. Even the alien fleet hesitated. Ethan didn't. Open channel, he said. Vera looked at him. What are you doing? Talking. That is not something you negotiate with. Ethan shrugged. Good thing I'm not negotiating. The channel opened. Silence. Then presence. Heavy. Ancient. You return, the same deep voice echoed. Ethan stepped forward. Yeah, he said. But this time I brought a message. You bring defiance. I bring a warning. You do not command this space, human. Ethan smiled faintly. No, he said. But I stand for something that doesn't back down. The massive entity pulsed. Almost curious. You are alone. Ethan shook his head slowly. No. He tapped the console. A signal burst outward. Far. West. Cross stars. Cross systems. Across one small blue planet. Back on Earth. Satellites lit up. Signals intercepted. Unknown transmission. Global systems scrambled. Confusion. Panic. Message. Short. Clear. From Ethan. Not alone. In orbit. Nothing happened. For a second. Base moved. Dozens of new signatures appeared. Then hundreds. Then thousands. Not alien. Human. Old satellites activating. Experimental crafts launching. Hidden defense systems waking up. Everything humanity had ever built. Answering. Not coordinated. Not perfect. But present. Messy. Loud. Human. Vera stared at the readings in disbelief. You called them. Ethan nodded. Told you. Lyra's voice softened. They came. Ethan looked at the growing swarm of human signals. Yeah, he said quietly. We always do. The sovereign presence shifted. Not retreating. But no longer certain. 'Cause now. It wasn't one human. It was all of them. Unpredictable. Emotional. Relentless. The most dangerous combination in the galaxy. Ethan stepped forward one last time. You wanted to study us, he said. Go ahead. His voice turned cold. But understand this first. The human fleet surged forward. Uncoordinated. Chaotic. Fearless. We don't fight alone. The galaxy believed humanity was weak. Too divided. Too emotional. Too chaotic. But they misunderstood one thing. When it matters, humans don't unite because they are commanded. They unite because they choose to. Rocket fire.